students, hope you are doing well today. This is Miss Julia again with a new math lesson, which is equivalent to fractions and decimals. The objective of this lesson is to relate between tenths, hundredths, and decimals. Let's consider the fraction 6 out of 10. We have to write the number as hundredths in fraction and decimal form. So let's start with changing it as hundredths in fraction form. Hundredths is a fraction that has the number 100 as a denominator, as we mentioned in the previous video. Now, in order to find the numerator of the fraction over here, we have to ask ourselves, what did we do to change 10 into 100? And based on the fact that 10 times 10 gives 100, so obviously all what we did here is we multiplied 10 by 10, and by this way we get the number 100. And based on what we've studied before in the equivalence of fraction lesson, is that whenever you multiply the denominator by a certain number, you also have to multiply the numerator with the same number. So the numerator in the fraction over here is the product of multiplying 6 by 10, which will give 60. Now let's change the fraction 60 out of 100 into a decimal number based on the steps over here. Copy the numerator as it is, which is 60. Starting from the right, draw two jumps. Each jump must hold one digit, and here you go. You place the decimal, and finally you interfere and you add a 0 in the space over here so that it won't stay empty. Let's move to the other example, which is 40 out of 100, and we have to write the number as tenths in fraction and decimal form. And as you know, tenths is represented by a fraction which has the number 10 as a denominator. In order to find the numerator over here, all what you have to do is to ask yourself, what did we do to change 100 into 10? And based on the fact that 100 divided by 10 gives 10, so obviously all what we did here is we divided 100 by 10. And as we know, whenever we divide the denominator by a certain number, we have also to divide the numerator with the same exact number. So the numerator of the fraction over here is the answer of 40 divided by 10, which is 4. Now let's change the fraction 4 out of 10 into a decimal number based on the steps over here. Copy the numerator as it is. But here, starting from the right, we only draw one jump because 10 includes only one 0. As you can see over here, place your decimal point and put a 0 so that the space over here won't stay empty. Now, what if we started with a decimal number and we need to change it into tenths in fraction form and hundredths in fraction form? So basically, we know that we are going to change it into a fraction. In order to find the numerator of this fraction, it is very easy. All what you have to do is to copy the digits that form your decimal number, which are 0 and 2. Zeros on the left are not recorded, so we can ignore it. But how do we find the denominator of this fraction? It might be 10, it might be 100. In order to find the denominator, you start counting from the right how many jumps you need to reach your decimal point. So as for our example here, we need, starting from the right, only one jump to reach our decimal point. One jump refers to 1 0, and 1 0 means the number 10. So basically, we change it into tenths in the fraction form, and now let's change it into the hundredths in the fraction form. which is represented by a fraction that has 100 in the denominator's place. In order to find the numerator, we multiply by 10 the denominator and also the numerator, which is 2, and we get 20 as a final result. Another example, also starting with a decimal number, we know that we are going to change it into a fraction. The numerator of our new fraction is, you copy all the digits that form the decimal number you have in this way. Zeros on the left are not recorded. We can ignore the zero over here. Now we have to figure out whether the denominator is 10 or 100. In order to find the denominator, let's count starting from the right. How many jumps do we need to reach our decimal? This is the first jump, but we didn't reach the decimal yet. This is the second jump. Here you go. You reached the decimal point. So we need 2 jumps to reach the decimal point. 2 jumps means 2 zeros, and the final result will be 100, and you'll get 100 as a denominator. And now let's change it into a fraction that has 10 as a denominator. As we mentioned before, all what we have to do in this case is to divide by 10 the denominator and also the numerator, and we will get 80 divided by 10, which is 8. Thank you for watching. Hope you understood everything in this video, and we will meet again in another new lessons.